Today is a brand new day, brand new day. But I have with me a very good friend of mine. His name is Christian. You probably know him. He is pretty much an influencer in the MAGA world and the conservative movement. So, Christian, how are you, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
So, Christian, I understand that you are in California, correct?
Correct.
So, wanted just to get your input about pretty much everything in California. My viewers would like to know just what the hell is going on in California and Gavin Newsom's paradise.
Yeah, California is very much indicative of what you do when you have one party dictatorial control. Um, the Democrats have changed how even the electioneering works in the state itself. I don't know if you saw recently, Huntington Beach was just forced by a judicial decree to even change their voting system from a first past the post to ranked choice voting for city council. And that was done by the courts of California. So, in all an attempt to change this conservative bastion that is Huntington Beach into a liberal city. Um, we're even seeing what's going on with Sonia Shah, who is more conservative, who is against, the idea that women should be able to, or men should be able to compete in women's sports. Gavin Newsom, or the legislature thereof, which is Democratic controlled, is basically changing the role that she would assume in office. So she's going for superintendent of public instruction of the state. They basically just took all of her power away and they're giving it to another position that is nominated and confirmed by the legislature and the governor. So the new actual superintendent of public instruction is a fiat role that is actually implemented for the Democrats, not the people of the state. So California is just a cluster. Finish the term for me. But it's really just the Democrats will not relinquish control even if it's democratically ordained because they're not actually democratic. Going into the economy of California, it's more so like that is all state run, that is all the state apparatus. When it comes to the NIMBYism, when it comes to the fact that we, allow for wildfires without any like water infrastructure. I mean, we have water infrastructure that we pass to be like money allocated to spend on building water infrastructure, and barely any of it has actually been used for infrastructure itself. So the state very much, it almost appears like it's purposeful, it's intentional. This rapid delineation between the poor and the rich, where the middle class is being squeezed in the middle, either forced out or they become less fiscally available. And it's just this decay that you can't really do anything about. You see corporations leaving, you're seeing hundreds of thousands of people leave every year. The population replacement is only there from, I would say, illegal immigration and natural, just regular immigration and birth rates. But the domestic outflow is apparent of how bad the system is. And then Democrats will say, like, well, if you're too poor to afford California, that's on you. And it's like, okay, then you actually don't care about the poor. So
Of
it's
course.
it's this weird it's this weird irony that the Democrats are facing right now. I would say nationwide, but especially in California, where you can see a system implode right before your eyes, but they cannot allow themselves to be wrong.
Okay. So, Christian, wanted you on the podcast because A, you're an expert in California. You see everything that's going on. And wanted my viewers just to know a little bit more about California. But B, just wanting to get them to know about you. So, can you tell my viewers just everything there is to know about you?
Yeah, I was born and raised in California. I'm from Visalia. That's where I was born. Grew up in Fresno, Clovis, Shaver Lake, if anyone is familiar with those areas. Um, that was basically my home turf was basically Fresno County. Love Fresno. It is one of the Central Valley itself is responsible for like 25% of the nation's agricultural outcome or agricultural in like sorry, that's really bad phrasing. 25% of basically all the money earned in agriculture in the country is out of the Central Valley. So we're responsible for like all of your almond milks, almonds in general. We're responsible for raisins, avocados. We have so much like diversity when it comes to agriculture. So I grew up in an agricultural like setting. My high school, I was an FFA, all that stuff. So I have an agricultural background. I studied economics in college. I actually worked on Capitol, well, not on Capitol Hill, but I worked in a nonprofit in Arlington, Virginia as well that dealt with politics. So I have a like a wide array of what I'm interested in politics. Um, and also just having a background, I've been debating and reading and doing my own research throughout my life. I think I remember debating kids in the schoolyard in the fourth grade about politics, and they obviously had no idea what I was talking about. Low key might be autistic. But um, yeah, I politics is probably my passion. I'm a gay Republican as well. I wasn't a Republican until probably 3 years ago. I was a libertarian. But the Libertarian Party is not serious. We are unfortunately living in a two-party system, and so you kind of just it's kind of like a two coalition system at the end of the day. That's basically what all multi-party systems devolve into anyways. And so I'm just part of the more socially progressive side of the Republicans, not to the extent that I want children to medicalize themselves, not to the extent that I want men to be able to use women's restrooms or go participate in those sports. But that I believe that we should have, I think gay marriage is acceptable. I think trans people, as long as they're adults, they should be able to do what they want with their own body, but no one should have to conform to the language that they require, stuff like that. But fiscally Republican, politically, I am conservative for all else, like intents and purposes.
So, just wanted to reiterate to my viewers right here. I want to just talk to everyone on this podcast. This is pretty much the core of the podcast.
Mhm.
Talk to everyone that we can. Just we're not always going to agree on every single thing,
A hundred
but
percent.
dialogue is the key. I've learned that so much with Charlie.
Mhm.
Charlie, he was a master class with just dialogue, debates, and so forth. And he was super chill. He was super like, authoritative in a way, like saying, okay, if you're going to what's it called? If you're going to give me grief and call me names or anything else, then we're done. Like I'm going to shut down the debate easily. But he gives that opportunity, or he really gave that opportunity to just have dialogue. That's what this podcast is about, and I'm grateful that you're here, man. I'm grateful that you're
Yeah, I'm grateful to be here. Um,
here.
yeah, I'm all for open dialogue, but the thing is, and this is what's funny, is like if people give me some side energy, some cross energy in my comment section, I'm just gonna match that energy just a little bit. I unfortunately am not as good as Charlie in that circumstance,
You and me
but
both,
I
brother.
will try working on it.
You and me both, brother. I mean, hey, look, you match that energy with what you get. Like, if you're gonna come at me with calling me names or anything else, and I'm gonna match it and just say,
Yeah,
oh well, uh, say some comment about your hair or about the way you put on makeup, whatever.
yeah,
If that energy matches.
yeah.
But I'm super glad that you're on here, and there's a whole list of stuff that's been going on in the world, and especially in California. Super crazy. California right now, there was an armed person that wanted to, I'm going to put it there because I can't say it on YouTube, wanted to do that to President Trump and in Los Angeles. There is a disturbing, I'm watching the camera right here. There's a disturbing amount of, I want to say it's mentally ill people in this world that have a TDS vibe. You hate the man. Okay, great. Hate the man. But just don't take it to the damn extreme, you know?
Yeah, unfortunately, leftist violence is despite what people want to say, it is the norm. It's not like especially extreme leftist violence. I mean, we see it. What are revolutions usually done by? It's usually done by the socialists. It's usually done by the communists. I mean, at least in modern day revolutions when it came throughout the 1900s. We haven't seen like a true like, oh, we want to end taxation revolution in a long time.
Hmm.
Um, Left-wing violence is the norm for the last, I would say, to like last century. So to see, and I think it's more of like I think the shift back then was that they were fighting, also very despotic regimes. I mean, the Russian Federation, or not the Russian Federation, but the Russian aristocracy at that time was not great to its people. So it's two things can be true at once, you know what I mean? But today, I would say they're arguing for a system of change that has time and time again failed. And I think more people are also seeing the reality of our current economic situation. I think we're still recovering from what we dealt with for 4 years prior. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
We're still recovering from that. It's easy to turn a situation into absolute dog poop, but it's harder to change a dog poop situation into a good situation. And so I think people are still reeling from that. And when you're in these economic times of woe, it's easier for people to grapple and grip onto more extremist economic rhetoric.
Funny you mentioned about the past presidency of Sleepy Joe. Sleepy Joe, I swear. Y'all's gubernatorial race with Javier Becerra and Steve Hilton.
Mhm.
Shout out to Steve. He is going to make it. I can guarantee he's going to make it. But Javier Becerra, the amount of stuff that I'm just reading right now about him, the migrant children he let go missing for a while now. The people that are going to vote for this man or that are actively just celebrating this man, it's astonishing. It's
Right.
astonishing.
I'm not surprised at all. Um, because Democrats in California are very much vote blue no matter who. That's
Mm.
very much what Democrats in California espouse. It doesn't matter. And I mean, we see that with Sonny Austin. I mean, when Graham Plattner was being platformed and when his controversies finally arose to the surface, she was like, you know
Mhm.
what? I don't mind that Yahtzee tattoo if it means defeating Susan Collins. So it's very much this display of we don't care about morals anymore. We care about our team winning. And I mean, you could
Of
say the
course.
same about Republicans. I mean, I definitely think Donald Trump isn't does not have the best moral character, and I think most Christians are aware of that. But the thing is, there's a difference between him being a playboy versus someone literally having the most specific Yahtzee tattoo tattooed onto their chest. And not only that, but espousing economic rhetoric that has failed for the past century. We're talking past each other. We're on two different platforms trying to speak at each other.
Mhm.
Because the thing is, I wouldn't support a Republican with a Yahtzee tattoo, even if there was another Democrat that they were facing. I personally would not, because I would like to say that I have more virtue than that. But I'm also not vote red no matter what. I think there are Republicans I would not vote for Mitch McConnell. I rest in peace. I personally would not have voted for Lindsey Graham. And I most certainly would not vote for who's the woman in Alaska? Murkowski.
Oh,
I would not vote for
yeah.
Murkowski. So and they're not even displaying a Yahtzee tattoo on their chest. I just personally don't agree with their policies. I think there are other Republicans that are better. And, why am I voting for people who don't have my best interest if I'm not going to get it on both sides? So it's just
Mhm.
it's Democrats who will excuse terrible, corrupt behavior because they have a D next to their name.
I will say it. I am a little guilty of it because, the 2024 election, I love Trump. Don't get me wrong. He's pretty much the most qualified out of those two, Kamala and him. However, the only gripes that I really do have for me personally, in a sense, is the Iran war situation. It needs to end immediately. And I said in my last couple episodes, we were able to get Nicolas Maduro out easily. It took less than 2 or 3 minutes at least. You mean to tell me we can't do the same thing in Iran? Just topple
You know,
something? I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert on what military capabilities Venezuela had versus Iran. I mean, Iran has been dealing with proxy wars for how long now? I can't say Venezuela has the same, military capacity as Iran does, nor does Venezuela. I mean, I think their only proxy was Cuba, honestly. So
Hmm.
I can't say much about the differences in scope of what their militaries, have against America. But I mean, like at the end of the day, what I do disagree with is this back and forth. I do agree that we need to end it. I don't think the Iranian regime can be trusted. And so no matter what negotiations we have at the table, I just know that Iran will break it. And so it's
Of
just
course.
I'm not a huge advocate for regime change, but I feel like seeing what we did in Venezuela, we can do regime change differently than the Obama or Bush eras.
Oh, of course. Of course. I just don't understand it. I really don't. I pray to the Lord that something happens within the next couple of days. Because, granted, I mean, those people deserve freedom. They deserve
Oh
so
yeah.
much freedom and so much love and just away from all this 47 years of corrupt, evil, despicable regime. It needs to end immediately. There needs to be reform or just a revolution in general. But and to go back to Javier Becerra, what are you hearing most about him in the grounds in California?
I think most, especially Democrats in California, are actually politically unaware. So I think most people in California are politically unaware. I don't think most people actually, read anything outside of their bubble, first of all. So of course, Republicans are going to be more focused on Javier Becerra's inequities than Democrats are. And then any Democrat that I've debated on this subject, they'll say, "Oh, he didn't lose them. There was no paper trail." And I'm like, "So you lost him?" Like that's not the fault of his administration. That gets passed on to this administration. And it was like, okay, but the thing is, that gets passed on to this department. And it's like, okay, but that doesn't change. You're explaining, you're not refuting the facts. He lost the children, whether you want to believe it or not, whether you want to move the goalpost or not. And so it's not, again, like I say, it's this mentality that California Democrats have, or I think anyone that is vote blue, no matter who. Um, it's not a problem because they don't read it, or it isn't his problem.
As of today, the Trump admin has found 146,000 migrant kids who went missing under Biden. Reminder, the total approximate missing kids is upwards of 450,000. Who was in charge of resettling these migrant children? Oh yeah, it was then HHS Secretary Javier Becerra, who is currently running to be governor of California. Let this be a reminder for everybody, we do not even talk about illegal immigration anymore because it's not really a problem under Trump. We had a humanitarian crisis at the border under Biden. We lost hundreds of thousands of migrant children under Javier Becerra, and now we don't even talk about illegal immigration at this point. For all those doomers out here who are America first now and no longer MAGA, are you telling me that you would rather have another humanitarian crisis at the border? Are you telling me you would rather have another open, porous border where we had waves and floods of illegal immigrants coming through? Would you rather have had Kamala Harris win the presidency? Because now y'all act like President Trump is the worst president in our nation's history because y'all have turned into such single issue voters out of nowhere.
I mean, just that disturbing fact of his, and especially what is it, campaign funds scheme that he is embroiled in. There's just too
Yep.
many to count, really. But you're right in the sense like
Well, I
they're
mean,
just going to
just to
keep
touch
voting.
on that, even, I mean, the
Sure.
courts also delayed the hearing for the campaign manager that was convicted, I think either indicted or convicted, I can't remember. Um, they delayed it till October. So what that tells me is you're scared that these results of this hearing, of this trial, are going to affect your election. That's what it's telling me. So we're delaying this election all the way up until the actual, we're delaying this trial all the way up to the election.
They can't help themselves. They just can't. I mean, we're playing. We're just playing a game that is just the other side is just too corrupt,
Yeah.
and they're getting corrupt, and they're getting worse because of the Democratic Socialists of America. Um, this ain't your daddy's Democrat Party no more, folks. This is Democratic Socialists of America. Communism is coming back. Mark my words, and it's already happening in Michigan.
You did it again. Congratulations, Michigan. You chose somebody who you shouldn't have chosen. Abdul El Sayed is now the Democrat nominee for U.S. Senate out of Michigan. Let's think about that. Completely, like, vehemently pro choice. Anti cop, he was for defunding the police. Get rid of ICE, he wants to just completely abolish ICE. He wants one payer Medicare system, which means only the government gets to decide what your medical care is going to be. But he's got a really good smile and he's really smart. Oh, did I mention that he actually campaigned with Hassan Piker? You know Hassan Piker, right? The guy who says that the U.S. deserved 9/11. The guy who's a huge fan of Mao Zedong from China. I kid you not. That guy was touring with him. Can you imagine if Trump toured with somebody who was a nut job who really supported the bad guys in World War II or something? You guys would have had a fit. But for some reason, Michigan, that I love, keeps on making really bad selections. You thought Whitmer was bad? This guy is Whitmer on steroids and 3 times worse. You got to do better. You got to make sure you look at the other side. I don't care if you think you are a Democrat. This guy cannot be your next senator. Come on!
It's in New York City right now.
You can't make this up. Zohran Mamdani, the mayor of New York City, just held a press conference to talk about what he plans on doing with his government-run grocery stores. And he was asked if they had anything in place to prevent people from misusing or abusing the system. And you literally can't make up what his answer was.
If you look at our RFP for the operator, we are looking to make sure that we target New Yorkers, whether it be at sort of a library card-esque thing, and also we manage who's buying and that is focused on everyday New Yorkers.
So you mean to tell me that in New York City, where you don't need identification to vote, you have to show identification to buy groceries? Let's just go over a quick list of things you need an ID for in New York. Shop at a city-run grocery store, qualify for affordable housing, get a book from the library, shovel snow for the city, apply for food stamps, and adopt a pet. Things you don't need an ID for in New York. Vote in elections. And putting all that aside, groceries run at a 2% profit margin on every dollar, so Zohran Mamdani plans on having a 30% markdown. Where's he finding the extra 28%? Tax dollars. So he's going to raise taxes to buy groceries so that he could sell the groceries for a little bit cheaper, but the groceries aren't actually cheaper, they've already just been paid for. I hate to say it, but New York, I think you got played again.
Now, and Karen Bass.
No, you're not. Yeah, no, you're not. No, you're not. Stop.
I've said a lot about her recently. She's just an incompetent mess. She's just an incompetent mess.
I would argue that she's not even incompetent. I think it's willful. I mean, just the recordings that we heard when the fires were happening. I mean, she knew what was happening. She was aware that something was happening, was going to happen, and she still left the country. And it's like, first of all, what are you even doing as a mayor making diplomatic visits? You're not a diplomat.
And did she just go? If I remember correctly, she went to a wedding in Africa. If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
but it wasn't just like any old person's wedding. You know what I mean? There were like government officials there, I believe, from what I remember.
See, that's just crazy to me. Like, you knew that this was happening, But yet you
Right.
still go. That's
And also, even if it were the case that this was like, oh my gosh, this is my cousin's wedding, why didn't you have like anyone? Why didn't you do damage control from the phone? Why didn't you step away? Obviously, your city is on fire, and you're going to be like, oh, la di da, I'm too busy for that. I'm at a wedding. Why didn't you do
see
anything?
that's
You step away. I mean, Marco Rubio, he steps away from every event and goes on the phone if he needs to talk to like anything. If he needs to talk to advisors, if he needs to talk to his staff, anything like that. You say, excuse me, I have an emergency. Get on the phone, advise people to control what's happening in the city that you are running, that you are elected to run. It's
they're
this
just
champagne socialist, I'm an elitist type of mentality. And it so I'll give you this. I think it's incompetence plus willfulness. I think it's both. Willful
I'll go one
incompetence.
step better. Willful incompetence. I'll go one step better. I said this in my last episode. If you're going to talk out of your ass, turn around so we can understand you. Those
Yes.
people are just complete professional bullshitters. They are.
Professional. That's what politics is too. So
Yeah.
it is marketing, to be fair.
To be fair. But no, I mean it's very interesting what California is going through right now. And Steve Hilton, he is going to be a good one. He's really going to be a good one. He just needs to push through. We're all praying for him. And another candidate in mind, want to give her a huge shout out, is Araceli Martinez. She is running in the Los Angeles area. She is state senate. Is that correct?
State Senate, yes.
Yes. Folks, a lot of my political ideology, my political beliefs, or even just my political teaching, so to speak, come from her and her videos and stuff like that. She is competent. She's just an amazing person. People vote for Araceli Martinez. She's going to make everything better. I promise you that.
No, she's literally a workhorse. I've never seen someone work harder at a political campaign than maybe Donald Trump. Maybe. I'm not even sure, but I would say that I've witnessed her work and her social media game is way stronger. She's on like a podcast every weekend. She's insane.
You're about to lose custody of your child for not affirming their gender because of Bob Archuleta. The man voted for a bill that would have taken away your parental rights, would have made you lose custody of your child during a divorce if you didn't affirm their gender and the other parent did. The government is now dictating how your children can identify and forcing you to go along with it as well. You're being stripped of your parental rights on the daily in California, which is why I'm running for state senate, because I'm going to fight for you for the right to parent your own child, for the right to raise your child how you see fit and not how the government sees fit.
She is so smart. She knows the plight of her community. She understands California politics well. And this is from Downey, California. So that's a neighborhood in the LA area, or a city in the LA area. So she's very aware of what Karen Bass has done to her region. She's very aware of what Democrats have done to her region. And also she travels all the way up like northern LA County all the time to meet with constituents too. She's aware of the entire county plight. And if there's anything to get out of this podcast right now, you need to follow Araceli Martinez for sure.
Hey guys, so we're getting ready to do another backpack giveaway here in Bellflower. If you guys want to support and keep these going for the community, the link is in my bio to donate, help us raise more funds so we can reach out to the community.
Of course. Araceli, go through with it. We got you. Steven's Special Podcast proudly endorses her. Mark my words, she's going to be great. She's going to be great. So, California, man, there's just too many to count, really. And it's Gavin Newsom's quote unquote paradise. I mean, you said earlier, a willful
Incompetence.
Willful incompetent. I was gonna say something else. I was gonna say like willful idiot, so to speak. But no, I mean that man is just God. I don't know how. Well, I know
He
how.
really, I will give you this. Politics is also 60% optics, and he really ran hard with his face. So I, I listen. There are Democrats all throughout the nation that I've seen just comment sections like he's so handsome, I vote for him, and it's like that's not the point. Um, but
Exactly.
if you talk a good enough game, if you look the part, if you look the piece, people will vote for you. And unfortunately, or if you're also connected to old families in California, which he is, that can also be a big
Mhm.
help. He talks a lot about how California is a paradise. He really hits home how California is the fourth largest economy. What he fails to realize is we are one of the worst for opportunity, for business friendliness. We are the worst for poverty based on the supplemental poverty measure. We are the most impoverished. I think we're tied with Louisiana. Our children face the worst poverty. We have the highest rates of homelessness. We have the highest rates of unsheltered homelessness per capita. We have a growing wealth inequality issue. I think we're top 10 in the nation for wealth inequality. There are so many issues with the state, but people like him and his supporters hammer home all they have is fourth largest economy. You know what? Japan, I think, has the third or fifth largest economy. I think the fifth largest economy at this point. I think California surpassed it. Japan has the fifth largest economy. It used to have the second. So just to say that California has the fourth does not mean it can't get worse. It's living off of a veteran economy. It's living off of the economic structure it had for the last 100 years, which made it into such a great state. We've only experienced what I would say give it a good 15 years of terrible policy by the state government. 15 years is a drop in the bucket for the last 100 to 200. So to say that we are still growing, we're not at a peak, is historically incoherent.
So another interesting fact about California right now is state minor consent laws. I just recently saw this on Instagram and thought it was what the hell is going on here? So when a child turns 12, parents don't have access to child's information,
Correct. Correct.
electronic health records, all that good stuff. What the hell, Gavin Newsom?
Can you
Wait.
hold on, hold on.
Say that again.
Wait, I'm like, can you, okay, hold on. Let me understand this. So while he's 11, I'll have access to his medical records. But once he
Right.
turns 12, the
12.
government locks me out.
Yes, because there's the I'm sure you've heard of HIPAA.
Yeah,
So
of course.
he now has privacy rights under HIPAA once
So-
he's 12.
So as a parent, I can't see my 12-year-old's medical records?
No.
What? I thought it was 14.
I
I've
know
heard.
Okay, so it's crazy, and I'm not saying that, like, I'm the bearer of bad news. Please don't get me.
No, I understand. You're just doing your job. It's
I
okay.
don't even agree with it. So, but like, I literally had to have my daughter come in the doctor's office with me and say, you can give my mother access to, elevated access, and you can request elevated access, but your child has to agree to it.
Got it. Okay, he's not even going to understand what that is.
I know. It's so crazy. You're like, you know what?
He's
My
an
daughter's
11-year-old boy.
My
He's
daughter's
like,
20 now, and she still goes, can't you call and make the doctor's appointment for me? And I'm like, no, sorry.
that is
Can't you go
crazy.
What
So
the heck?
what the mindset is about this is that this would protect children who have abusive families, who have abusive parents. I understand the rationale, but the thing is, good intentions, the road to hell was paved with good intentions. Good intentions does not inherently mean good, does not inherently mean good outcomes. And so it's like, okay, this is to protect children, but the thing is, you are now criminalizing parents without due process. you're saying all parents could be abusive. That's why we have to protect these children. No, you rescind the access to medical records when parents are found to be abusive. That's what you're supposed proven. You're innocent till proven guilty. That's in my opinion. And listen, I don't know much about the law. I just recently found out about this law because I don't remember this being a problem when I was 12. But I don't know. I'd have to access my own medical records to see that, I guess.
Of course. I just thought it was pretty interesting, and I'll put it in the video as well.
And also California is not the only one that has this law. I've seen people from red states even say that they have this in their legal code. So the more you know.
Well, I got to look that up too. I got to look that up. That's going to be another homework for me. So stay on the theme of California, so to speak. Spencer Pratt has been a vocal advocate for his community. Los Angeles, I've never been there. I want to go, but I was told by so many people, you just go there for a day and then you leave. Because you can't go to like any other areas in Los Angeles. You got to go into like the calmer, safer areas of Los Angeles. Is that correct?
I mean, Los Angeles is not one big city. It is so many different cities combined. And so what I would say is that there are nicer places. And I'm not gonna dish on LA like it's dealing with things that no other city deals with. You know what I mean? There's Skid Rows in New York, there's Skid Rows in Seattle, there's Skid Row, there's always a bad neighborhood or a bad area of town. I think Los Angeles policies exacerbate that. I think California state policies exacerbate that. But at the same time, like some of the best barbecue I've ever had on this earth was in Compton. You know what I mean? Compton, California, some of the best barbecue I've ever had. I would say explore LA. It's going to take longer than a day, especially with how traffic to go 5 miles, it's going to take you 3 hours. So you're gonna want to take more than a day to explore LA. I'm not going to say you're going to like everything you explore. But California is my home. I loved San Fran even when it was falling apart. I love LA even though it's falling apart. It just makes me sad and grieve for these places, which I know could be way better than they are.
There's always hope. I feel like there's always going to be hope for those cities. It just has to be. It has to be better. The elections had to be better. The candidates had to be even greater than they were right now. But I'm looking right now with Los Angeles and Karen Bass and Nithya Raman, if I'm saying that correctly. Lord have mercy. If we get another Mamdani 2.0 in the West Side, oh Lord, it's a snowball effect. It's just gonna get worse by the day.
What I find actually kind of interesting is that you're not seeing a lot of DSA candidates do well in California compared to the Northeast. So it's funny because you see California usually leads the charge in Democratic policies and Democratic rhetoric and conjecture. But now we're kind of seeing a turn where the Democratic epicenter of change is more so going to be in the Northeast now. We saw Mamdani, the first DSA candidate who's actually leading a major city in the country. And so that's been a shift in the political balance within the Democratic Party itself. We're not saying LA and San Fran control the rhetoric anymore. We're now saying New York. We're saying Boston. We're seeing Wisconsin, Michigan candidates more heavily represent that side of the Democratic Party, which they allowed to take the reins of.
See, the more I know, like I said, you're the expert in California.
I wouldn't say that, but but I do know a lot. I do know.
Of course. I'm a good old Arkansas boy. I've never been to the west side. Well, I take that back. Arizona is the furthest west that I've been to. But I want to go to California, and because my Raiders.
Not the Raiders.
We were good for about 3 Super Bowls, and then we've just dropped off the face of the earth.
Yeah, I can't say my team's not even in California. I'm a Denver Broncos fan, so.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Well, we had some heartbreaks. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Let's hope and pray. Let's hope and pray. But no, I mean, this has just been enlightening to just talk to you about all this. And we have a very good, well, we have a very interesting midterm coming up. What is your take on the what? Yeah, let's
I'm very
put it that
hopeful
way.
for the midterms. I really don't have this doomer idea of the midterms right now, especially with how polling is going. Usually, Democrats, especially for midterms, usually poll better than their actual outcomes are. Like if they poll 4%, that's usually like neck and neck for us. They're only currently polling, I think, 1 to 2% higher than us. So that I think that gives us good confidence. Redistricting really helped us as well. When it comes to the Senate, that one I'm a little bit more scared of. Um, but I mean, they would really need to take Ohio. I think Ohio is like the pivotal state for the Senate race right now, from what I'm hearing. So if they take Ohio, okay, but I really have no confidence. Ohio's only been getting more red over the last few years, especially over the last election. I don't believe they're going to take Ohio's Senate seat.
Interesting. See, my view for this is I'm not going to say that we're going to have the biggest red wave like everybody said in 2022, and then look where
Same,
that got us.
same.
But I will say this: there can be a lot of hopefuls. There can be a lot of hopefuls in this race. Rudy, for example, I believe he's running in California. Rudy, if you've seen this, uh, yeah, I got you, man. I got you. You guys got a lot of great candidates. Sonia, uh, just we need to get the message out there. And luckily enough, Araceli, all those people are going to the places that normally don't normally don't vote Republican. They don't even
Yeah,
vote
well,
most of the time.
within the state legislature itself, it's a lot harder because of how the state districts its own legislature. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, we saw what happened with Prop, was it Prop 5, Prop 15, how they redistricted for the national house. And they took away 5 seats from Republicans. They basically do the same thing on the state level for the state assembly and the state senate. So it's we're compartmentalized into these solid red and solid blue seats where incumbents don't really need to try hard to win the votes. So seeing people like Otticelli go into a blue incumbency seat and really actually shift odds without barely any spending is actually pretty insane. She just has a really good ground game.
See, the Republican candidates, especially here in Arkansas, we need to go super hard in those areas that are normally don't vote Republican. They vote more than likely are Democrats or maybe even libertarians a little bit. We need to hit those ground games super hard. Because I remember going, I want to say 5 years ago here in Fort Smith, North Fort Smith, super Democratic, no Republican whatsoever. But I decided to go up there and just show off and just say, look, I'm here. Do you want to talk? And they actually respected that. They were like, you are here when you should be like in South Fort Smith where you'd be safer. And I was like, I don't feel anything different. I'm just here. If you
Yeah.
want to talk, let's talk. And I feel like we've lost that so much in this day and age, but Republicans, that is the key. That is the key. Take it, take my 2 cents and run with it at this point.
Yeah, what I mean, like what I noticed is that Democrats are sorry, Republicans are so they love to tout the fact that the Hispanic swing was real. Like the Hispanic swung like 20 points right. Like it's actually insane. And especially in California, the black vote was not so heavily blue. I mean, we did see a shift in even the black vote. I think the only demographic we didn't see a rightward shift in was white women. So
Oh,
Republicans love to tout that minorities are swinging, but it's kind of like what we see in church, right? we save people, we baptize them, but there's not always a lot of follow-up on some of these churches. There's no follow-up with these people. And so we're gaining ground, but we're not following up with these people. And that's the issue.
So that would be the game plan here for the midterms. Take it for what it is. You don't have to agree with it, but just take it for what it is. Take it for what it is. One last point here. Also, this has been on the news for quite a while, and rightfully so, because golly, it's how do you go from being such a great country, Spain? I'm talking about the Sueta. Is that how you say it? Sueta, Spain?
I called it Suda, but it's
Suda.
probably not pronounced that way.
Well, the migrant fluctuation over there.
They poured across the border into Ceuta. As many as 60,000 people from Morocco since Thursday, according to the local government. And more are still coming.
There's still 50 to 100 people right there who are trying to make their way ashore on that beach.
It's nearly doubled the tiny Spanish territory's population, mostly young men in search of jobs.
Why did you want to move to Spain?
Morocco is a beautiful country, but you need a lot of money, and you can make money in Morocco.
The government has blamed criminal networks for exploiting a recent Supreme Court decision. But many here told me they decided to make the crossing after seeing social media posts claiming Spain is an open door.
So you saw on social media that people were making the trip, and then you decided to join them.
Yeah. The surge has intensified concerns in Europe of unchecked migration and opened Spain's liberal government and loose immigration policies to criticism.
Un ataque.
Today, the Prime Minister called it an attack and deployed the country's military to help.
So you can see the strong military presence here, about 8 to 10 military vehicles all lined up here, but it's all very peaceful so far. A lot of these people have told us that they're hungry, they haven't gotten anything to eat since they arrived, and so now they're actually heading back to the Moroccan border to re-enter the country.
More than 48,000 have already returned to Morocco. Still, some are determined to try their luck.
Are you worried that the police are going to turn you away and send you back to Morocco?
Maybe.
Who would say? Tonight, Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has threatened to suspend her country's visa-free travel agreement with Spain over the crisis. And as you can see behind me, there's still many people here with no clear timeline of when they'll be sent home. Matt?
Aiden Stretch, the only network correspondent there on the ground. Aiden,
has just been, it gives me vibes of like 2022 or 2020. Was it 2022 or 2023 when that same thing happened in the Texas border?
It was like almost immediate. I would say 2020, like the end of 2021 all the way till 2023, 2020, even 2024 even, when we had that humanitarian crisis at the border.
Of course. See, viewers, I'm somebody that does support legal immigration. My family, I will say this, my father came here wanting a job, legal immigration, that sort of thing. But he paid his way to the very top, where now he has many restaurants in Northwest Arkansas and some other places as well. But he worked to get to the American dream, and he assimilated into this country. I'm sorry, but most of those immigrants that come in illegally as well, they don't assimilate. They don't. They spit on our flag, they burn it, they do whatever they can just to make a point because they hate Trump. They just hate him. At the end of the day, when I saw this news, it's just going to be a downfall. If we allow this maximum fluctuation of migrants that don't subscribe to your beliefs, don't subscribe to your culture. And really, culture is like a religion externalized. That was from a previous episode. But they just don't subscribe to anything. They just come in, take what they want. And I'll even put it in the video right now. So Now, so many videos of these migrants. They're just trashing that city, and they're bringing them back. But you have a prime minister that just wants this open borders chaos. America, we don't need an open borders. We don't. We have these laws for a reason. However, I will say this: we need to reform most or some of the immigration laws that we have in the books. I believe we can. It's just going to have to take some doing with both the Republicans and Democrats, but it has to be done. We have to reform those laws. What say you?
I mean, I agree. I think immigration system does need a reform. You know, I understand the idea of needing immigrant labor because our population replacement just isn't there. We're not having children. It's too expensive for us to have children at this day and age. Childcare is so expensive. Of course, my goal for that, my response to that is not socialized childcare. But you do need a steady wave of immigration to replace the population. We're not replacing ourselves, but it needs to be legal.
And again, those people have to assimilate to this country. They have to assimilate.
Like I was telling my boyfriend, I was like, because he was like, we should move to Portugal, and I was like, after what just happened, right next to Spain, and I was just like, well, I would say we should move to Japan, but Japan would require me to learn Japanese, and I have to learn like 1,000 to 3,000 different characters, and I have to like the fact that you have to learn the language before you move to Japan. I don't even think we have that as a requirement. And that's insane to me. I know that English is not an official language, like the official language of the United States, but English is the primary language we operate our entire political system around, our economic system around. It is, and it does know, it's not a disservice that people have to learn English to come here. If anything, it helps them succeed more. So it's just, why do you want people to come in and automatically have a hardship coming into this country? Being able to adapt and communicate and transverse this country entirely without having to learn the proper language first. It just makes no sense to me. It's like you want these people to come in and just make it even harder for themselves and also for our people to adapt around this as well. I mean, the services we have to employ for people who don't understand just the basic communication here is insane to me.
And I'm just saying, you know, the perfect example would be those 18-wheeler truckers. I don't know how many there's been accidents so far, or not, well, accidents, fatalities, so forth, just because they couldn't read a sign, a basic English sign.
Yep.
That's doing a disservice. That's doing a disservice. And Congress, Senate, you guys will watch this video as well. Reform immigration. For the love of God, we have to reform immigration. We do. We do. Well, Christian, last but certainly not least, what is your take on the Save America Act?
I'm all for it. I honestly don't even think it goes far enough. I mean, the Save America Act just requires proof of citizenship to register. I think we need to show proof of citizenship at the polls. And I'm not saying we should have to bring our birth certificates. I think our ID cards need to show citizenship status on them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think that is actually what is missing from the Real ID system, because the Real ID system does not denote citizenship, and that's the problem. So I agree with the Save America Act. I think it's a great first step. I think it's something that is required and that needs to be done. But I also think we need to go a step further. I mean, like, okay, let's issue free voter ID card. If we're going to establish, okay, say we're not even going to use the Real ID, say we're not going to use an ID at all, like a basic one. Federal government granted voter ID cards that denote citizenship. That itself denotes citizenship. You need a voter ID card. Give it away for free.
See, I never would have thought of that. Thank you for letting me know on that because I was just thinking to myself, well, it has to be easier. It really does have to be easier. And I don't want to pick on California. I've already picked on them enough at this point, but Los Angeles. It took y'all how many days or so until we had to figure out that?
I believe it was July. Was it? No, I think it was June 28th or June 30th. It was certified. Our election was on June 6th, I think. What,
Wow.
24 days?
Wow. That's just crazy to me to even think about that. We're not back in the 1700s.
Yeah.
We got to make things a
I don't
little
even
bit
think they
easier.
certified it until July. They finished counting June 30th.
Trump, everybody who's watching this video, Save America Act needs to be passed immediately. Immediately. If not, you're just going to have so many Los Angeles races that are going to take days just to, call the winner. That's going to be no bueno, no bueno. But Christian, man, I want to thank you so much for taking the time, just having a good conversation and just telling us about you, man.
Yeah. Thank you for having me here. It was a pleasure. I would always love to talk smack about California's government as much as possible. So,
Well, Newscomb, you made a mess. Glad you're going to be out here pretty soon. And hopefully, we're going to have Steve Hilton as the next governor of California. We'll bank on that. We'll bank on that. But Christian, man, I want to thank you so much. And I'll put it, is it all right with you? I put your information?
put all my socials down below. Yes.
Awesome. Well, viewers, his information is all going to be in the description. Follow this man. He has every bit of knowledge ever. You'll enjoy it. So, Christian, everybody, thank you guys. Thank you.